ground tissue system or fundamental tissue system. It means in plant body, mainly three types of tissue systems are present. One is epidermal tissue system. Second one, ground tissue system. The ground tissue system is also called fundamental tissue system. Third one, vascular tissue system. Today we discuss about ground tissue system. In plant body, except epidermal tissue system, vascular tissue system, remaining all types of tissues belongs to ground tissue system or fundamental tissue system. Mainly in plant body, the ground tissue systems or fundamental tissues are following types or following places are present. First one is outer cortex. Outer cortex present in the root system or shoot system of plant. It present beneath of epidermis of root, epidermis of shoot. Mainly outer cortex made by three types of parenchymatous tissue. They are normal parenchyma. Second one is collenchyma. Third one is sclerenchyma. If the outer cortex made by normal parenchyma cells, it mainly helps in storage of starch food material. If the outer cortex made by collenchyma tissue, it is also helps in storage of food material. At the same time, it gives mechanical support to root or shoot. Sometimes outer cortex made by sclerenchyma tissue. The sclerenchyma tissue also called bones of the plant. So bones of the plant of tissues present in the outer cortex, they gives only mechanical support to root or shoot. It is outer cortex. And second one is middle cortex. Beneath of outer cortex, middle cortex is present. Generally, the middle cortex made by only parenchymatous tissue, normal parenchymatous tissue. It helps in storage of starch food material. The cells are loosely arranged in the outer cortex, middle cortex, and they maintain intercellular spaces. If the outer cortex made by sclerenchyma, there is no intercellular spaces. If they made by parenchyma tissue only, they maintain intercellular spaces in outer cortex and middle cortex. At the same time, inner cortex also. Inner cortex made by parenchyma tissue, it helps in storage of starch food material. Sometimes inner cortex made by sclerenchyma tissue, it gives additional mechanical support to root or shoot. In outer cortex, sometimes chlorenchyma tissues also present. The parenchyma or collenchyma tissues are filled with chloroplast. At young age of plant, shoot surface is completely green in color. Outer cortex made by chlorenchyma tissue. Presence of chlorenchyma tissue, the young shoots are green in color. So they are helps in, the chlorenchyma tissues are helps in storage of starch food material. And we comes to the steel. The steel surrounded by some ground type of tissues like endodermis, pericycle, medullary rays, medulla. These four labels are present. The four parts are present in the steel. Endodermis is similar to the epidermis. Endodermis made by rectangular parenchyma cells. All endodermal cells are filled with starch. So the endodermis is also called a starch layer. The starch layer or starch present in the endodermis. Some not some. All endodermal cells are covered by strips, starch strips. The starch strips are identified by Kasparin scientists. See, we observed endodermis. The endodermal cells are filled with starch. So that endodermis is also called starch layer. All endodermal cells are covered by starch strips. The starch strips first identified by Kasparin scientists. So these starch strips are also called Casparian strips. Kasparin or Casparian strips. In this endodermis of root, opposite of protoxylem, in endodermis, passive cells or passage cells are present. It is important function of the endodermis. Passage cells are present opposite of endodermis. The passage cells main function, if the rootlets or root airs are absorbed water, it enter into cortex. The water finally reach to the stellar region through the passage cells only. So passage cells main function is they allows water, minerals into steel from the cortex. It is the passage cell function. They are present in the endodermis. Beneath of the endodermis, another ground tissue is present, is called pericycle. Pericycle mainly present beneath of the endodermis. It made by normal parenchyma cells. They are also helps in storage of starch food material in shoot system. But in root system, the pericycle containing one additional function. The additional function is the pericycle helps in development of lateral roots. Lateral roots are developed by pericycle, developed from pericycle only. It present in the root of pericycle, not in shoot of pericycle. Shoot of pericycle only made with parenchyma, helps in storage of starch food material. And after pericycle, medullary rays. Medullary rays are present between the vascular tissues or between the vascular bundles. They are mainly helps in secondary growth. During the secondary growth between two vascular bundles, vascular cambium, intervascular cambium is developed. The vascular cambium present in the vascular bundles. Between two vascular bundles, intervascular cambium is developed. The intervascular cambium is developed by only or developed from only medullary rays. These are helps in secondary growth. And at center region of the stele of root and shoot, parenchymatous tissues are present. The parenchymatous ground tissues are called medulla. In this medulla, there is no intercellular spaces. All cells are compactly arranged. The main function of medulla, storage of starch food material. From outer cortex to medulla, these types of ground tissues are present in the root system, shoot system. But leaf system also containing ground tissues. The ground tissues are called palliser tissues and sponge tissues. Palliser tissues, sponge tissues combinedly called mesophyll. They are present between the two epidermal tissues of leaf. Beneath of upper epidermis, pillar-like parenchymatous cells are present. The pillar-like parenchymatous cells are called palliser tissues. The palliser tissues are containing large quantity of the chloroplast. They are helps in storage of starch food material. And below the palliser tissues are above the lower epidermis, loosely arranged parenchymatous tissues are present. The loosely arranged parenchymatous tissues are called sponge tissues. The sponge tissues are also containing chloroplast. They are also helps in storage, preparation of food material by the photosynthesis. If the vascular bundles are present at center region of the vein, sometimes the vascular bundles are also covered by bundle sheaths. So bundle sheath cells are also parenchymatous cells. These are also one type of ground tissues. In this leaf anatomy, we observed palliser tissues and sponge tissues. We observed these two types of mesophyll tissues or ground tissues in one leaf. The leaf belongs to dicot. If we identified only one type of mesophyll, mean if we identified only one palliser tissues or one sponge tissues, that leaves belongs to monocot leaves. In monocot leaves, only one type of mesophyll ground tissue is present. Maybe sometimes palliser tissues are present, some plants containing sponge tissues. But dicot leaves are containing two types of mesophylls. Palliser tissues are present, sponge tissues are present. So these are the ground tissue system in the plants. Outer cortex, middle cortex, inner cortex. These three are commonly called cortex zone or cortical zone. These three are present beneath of the epidermis of root, epidermis of shoot. Endodermis, pericycle, medullary rays, medulla. These are present in the stele. The stele surrounded by endodermis, below the endodermis, pericycle, between two vascular bundles, medullary rays, and at center region of stele, medulla. If these are present in the root and the shoot of stele, and the palliser tissues, sponge tissues present in the mesophyll of leaf. If we identified palliser tissues, sponge tissues in one leaf, the leaf belongs to dicot. If we identified any one of these two mesophyll, pallisade or sponge, the leaf belongs to monocot leaf. So these are the ground tissues and their functions